This might be my new favorite, Casino Quest's Crisscross. Hey everyone, it's Mike. Welcome back to my channel. On my last video, I showed another variation of the Iron Cross called the Red Cross. And even though it turned out pretty well, I made a comment that I probably wouldn't play it because it required a $500 initial bet, which is just a little too rich for my comfort level right now. So I started looking for other strategies that did not require such a high initial bet. And yesterday a new video popped up on my feed from Casino Quest, and David from Casino Quest called this the Crisscross, and it only requires a $110 initial bet. And I looked at it, I watched it, I understood what they were trying to do, and I wrote it out, but I haven't even tried it yet. But just based on what I've read and saw them do so far, this might be one of my favorites. It might be a new favorite of mine. And let me explain it to you. Like I said, the initial bet is a $110. Now, a lot of people think of 110 as an inside bet. 25 on the inside, cap the 6 and 8, 30. That's 110 inside. That's not the way this 110 is set up. You set this 110 up across all box numbers in this manner right here, and I'll show it to you. We put $30 on the 6 and 8. We put $15 on the 5 and the 9, and we put $10 on the 4 and the 10. And whoops, that's not. There we go. 30 on the 6 and 8, 15 on the 5 and 9, 10 on the 4 and 10. That's $110. Okay? You may have to, if you're at a $10 table, you may have to explain that to the dealer the first time, but he'll understand what you're doing from that point on. It's 110, but not inside. It's 110 across, 30 on the 6 and 8, 15 on the 5 and 9, $10 on the 4 and 10. Okay? Now, here's the strategy. If a 6 or an 8 hits, your $30 bet wins $35. You take that $35 and then you throw an extra nickel from your rack down on the table. So now you have $40, and you ask the dealer to press your outside numbers up by $10. So you would go 20, 25, 25, 20. Okay? What you're doing here is you're taking the winnings from the inside and you're crisscrossing them to press the outside. Now, let's say your outside number hits. Let's go back to the original 110. There we go. There's our original 110. Let's say an outside number hit. Let's say a 4 hits. Okay? Or let's say a 5 or a 9 hits. A 5 or a 9, you've got $15 on the 5 or the 9. Those should pay $21. You'll throw an extra $3 down on the table. So now your $21 looks like $24, and you'll press your 6 and 8 up by 12 each. So these will go to 42. So your outside hits, crisscross, and press the inside. Your inside numbers hit, they crisscross, hit the outside. If your 4 and 10 hit, those $10 bets win 18. You would add another 6 from your rack to make it 24. And again, you would press the 6 and 8 by $12 each. Okay? That's the initial strategy. Now, there is some regression in here so that you can get money off of the table and put chips back into your rack. And the way the regression works is you're looking to hit one of your pressed numbers for the second time. You want to hit it again. So let's assume that a 5 hits and you win 21, and you throw in an extra 3 to make it 24, and you press your 6 and 8 up. Okay, now this number's pressed. What you want to do is, if you hit a pressed number, okay, so if you hit a 6 or an 8, you will then collect those winnings and you will regress down to the very 1 unit level. And on a $10 table, these would be $10 entry levels on the 4, 5, 9, and 10, $12 with the cap on the 6 and 8. So if you would hit the 6, you would regress it down to 12. Okay? Whoops, there we go. If let's take this back. Let's go back to the 110 level. Let's say the 6 or 8 hits and the $30 wins 35. You drop a nickel to make it 40 and you press your outside numbers up by $10 each. Now if one of these numbers hit, let's say the 5 hits, that 25 would win 35. You would take it down to your initial 1 unit bet or $10. Oops. Okay. I'm not really sure why he doesn't just take it down to 15, because I'm thinking you're going to want to just rinse and repeat. Once you get these guys regressed back down to 10 and you get your 5 at 15, then you can then go ahead and press up again. But he's saying regress it down to the 1 unit level and then collect. Now here's one caveat. Let's go ahead and get these back to 110. If you would happen to hit a 4 and the 4 would win $18 and you added 6 to make it 24 and you pressed your 6 and 8 by 12 each, if you now hit another outside number, you're not going to press the 6 and 8 again. You press it one time. Okay, so if you would hit a 4, a 5, a 9, or a 10, and the 6 and 8 has already been pressed one time, you're not going to press it again. You're just going to take those winnings and power press the number that hit. So let's say the 9 hit and you won 21, you would power press the 15 up to 30. If a 4 hit again, you could power press that up to 20. Okay, so what are the pros? The pros are on this setup, it's only a $110 initial setup. What are the cons? Obviously, you hit that dreaded 7 out before you collect enough money. Could put you in the hole. 0.7 outs are the worst. The worst you can do, because you get loaded with your initial 110 after the point's established, and then you hit the 7 out and you lose $110. Okay? So I think we'll go ahead and now set up and give this a try. This will be the first time that I try this. Let's go ahead and roll and try this strategy out. Okay, we're ready to actually try a live roll here. And like I said before, this is the first time I'm trying it. So I may leave my notes over here for a while before I go into full screen. So let's go ahead and let's take our bets off, because we're going to roll for a point. And it's a 4, so the puck is going to move to the 4. Our bets are on. This is my initial setup. $30 on the 6 and 8, $15 on the 5 and 9, $10 on the 4 and 10. We're just looking for a box number. There's the 8. The 8 pays 35. So I would drop a nickel to make that 35 go to 40, and I would press my outside numbers by $10 each. Okay. And now I'm going to roll. And there's a 7 out. We lost $150. Probably the worst that could happen, but that's the way it works. And we're going to have to now roll for another point. There's a 12. Okay, there's a 9. Puck moves to the 9. Let's go ahead and get set up. Whoops. Okay, 110 across the box numbers. Let's go ahead and roll. There's an 8 again, pays 35. I'm going to add a nickel and I'm going to press my outside numbers by $10 each. And we're going to roll. There's a 9. Now, the 9, oh, and that's the point. So the puck's going to go off. Let's go ahead and roll for a point. Okay, the puck goes back to the 9. So I rolled the 9. That was pressed up to 25 and I hit it. So I'm going to take that money and now I'm going to go ahead and press the 6 and 8 because the outside numbers crisscross to the inside. So these are going to get pressed to 12 each. That's 24, and then I'll rack the difference. Okay, so now every number here has been pressed one time. So if I hit another box number, I'm going to collect and reduce that bet back down to 1 unit. And there's the 10. So the 10's going to pay, $20 is going to pay 36. And now I'm going to reduce the 10 down to the initial 1 unit bet, which would be $10. Okay. There's an 8. The 8's already been pressed, or the outside numbers have been pressed because the 8 hit earlier. So I'm going to collect that and reduce this back down to 1 unit, which would be 12. Okay. Let's go ahead and roll. There's a 9. So that's the point. And that bet, $25 bet, wins 35. I'm going to reduce it down to the initial 1 unit bet. I'm going to get a number first. Let's go ahead and roll for a point. Okay, the point's a 4. Now I'm going to reduce the 9 down to 1 unit. In this case, it would be $10. Okay, so this is how I get chips back into my rack. I just need to now think about how do we get these guys pressed back up. Let's go ahead and roll. There's a 6. So far, I don't have to worry about it because I'm hitting the numbers that have been pressed. So I'm going to collect that. $42 wins 49, and I'm going to reduce this down to 1 unit. And I'm going to roll. There's the 8. Now the 12 pays 14. So now I need to understand, what do I do with that 14? This number isn't a number that's been pressed, so I'm not reducing it. So I need to take that winning, that $14, and add 6 to it and go, that would be 20. I could go 5 across. So why don't I do that? I'll just go ahead and I'll add 6. That'll make it $20. And I can't do that. Yeah, I can go 5 across, I guess. 5 on the outside. Okay? This is where I think David was saying, just, you could do whatever you want to at this point. So there's a 5. So that number has been pressed. So I'm going to collect that and I'm going to reduce this down to the single 1 unit bet, which would be $10. So as you can see, I'm starting to get down to a 1 unit bet. Well, there's the 4. So the 4 is the point, but again, that 4 has been pressed. So I'm going to collect and I'm going to reduce this down to 1 unit after I establish a new point. So the point's a 5. I will now reduce this 12 down to 1 unit, which is 10. And now I can start pressing back up. There's a 3. There's a 9. So that pays 21. I would add $3 to it to make it 24, and I would crisscross, press the 6 and 8. 12 each. So I hit the 9 and I crisscross to press the 6 and 8. Let's go ahead and roll. There's a 4. Now, the 4 would also pay, and I would crisscross and press the 6 and 8, but the 6 and 8 has already been pressed. So I'm going to power press my 4 to 20. Okay? And collect $8. This is starting to make sense. And there's the 7 out. Starting to make a little sense here. So that was my second shooter. Let's go ahead and go full screen to make it a little easier to watch, and I think I can remember this. All right, this will be shooter 3. Let's go ahead and get a point. 7 out doesn't help us on the come out roll. We're not playing the pass line. There's a 4. Puck moves to the 4. Let's get our initial setup. 30 on the 6 and 8. 15 on the 5 and 9. 10 on the 4 and 10. 110. And let's roll. Okay, there's a 6. So the $30 6 wins 35. I would add 5 and make it 40, and I'm going to crisscross and press my outside numbers by $10 each. So 20 to 25 to 25 to 20. Okay, let's go ahead and roll. There's the 5 again. Or I'm sorry, there's the 5. That pays 35. And I want to crisscross and press my 6 and 8 up 12 each, which is 24. So out of that $35 winning, I would go ahead and press 12 of it and rack the rest. So let's go ahead and bump these up to 42 and rack our remainder. And now we have pressed everything. Let's go ahead and roll. There's the 9. So the $25 on the 9 wins 35. I would crisscross and use that money to press the 6 and 8, but the 6 and 8 has already been pressed. The 9 has already been pressed. So I'm going to rack that $35 and reduce this down to 1 unit, which would be $10. Okay, let's go ahead and roll. There's the 6. Again, the 6, I would take the winnings from it and press the outside, but the outsides have already been pressed, except the 9. So what if I collect that and press, let's go ahead and press the 9, because it's down to 1 unit. Just press it up to 15. Or do I collect and bump this guy back down to 12? I think that's what I do. Yeah, that's what I do. Okay. There's the 5. The 5, $25 on the 5 wins 35. I would use it to press the 6 and 8, but the 8 is still pressed up. So I think I'm going to collect that 35 and reduce or regress the 5 down to 10. I'm doing this without my notes, so I'm hoping I'm doing this right. So I think I'm going to regress that down to 10, and we're going to roll. There's the 10. $20 on the 10 pays 36. Again, I would take that money and press the 6 and 8, but the 8 is still already pressed up. So I think I'm going to collect that and reduce or regress my 10 from $20 down to $10. There's the 4. And that's the point. The puck is off. So again, I think I'm going to collect that and regress the 4 back down to 10 because I've still got the 6 and 8. So the big question I have here is, do I leave the 6 alone until the 8 hits and gets regressed down to 12, and then I press them both at the same time? Can I press the 6 by itself without touching the 8? So I'm going to roll for a point, and I think I'm going to regress my 4. The winnings on the 4, I'm going to regress this back down to a 1 unit bet, which would be $10. So let's go ahead and roll. There's a 10. Puck moves to the 10. I'm going to regress my 4 down to 10. And I'm almost back to my beginning. I still have a pressed 8. So let's go ahead and roll. Couldn't have asked for a better roll. There's the 8. So I'm going to go ahead and, well, I guess I could now start pressing my outside numbers because they're both back to original bets. So I could take that 49 Or maybe I just collect it and regress this down to 1 unit. Let's just do that. Now I can start over and start my pressing. There's an 11. And there's my 7 out. Okay, 35 rolls, 3 shooters. I'm up $402. Not sure if I played it exactly right. I don't think I've gone through every scenario that I could have come across and played it the right way. But if you're making money, there is no wrong way, I guess. But my distribution doesn't look quite right. I should have rolled more 6s and 7s and less 4s and 9s, but everything else is starting to develop exactly the way it should. So all in all, I kind of like it. Is it my new favorite? It's up there. I mean, I'm going to play this one again. I'm going to try to play it so that I can experience every possible scenario. So this is Casino Quest's Crisscross. As you can see, I only got through a third of the video to where Dennis was shooting, and I thought I understood it. So I thought, let's go ahead and write it up, and then I'll give it a try. So maybe I'll watch the rest of the video to see if they come across scenarios that I did, to see how they do them. But other than that, not a bad strategy. Crisscross by Casino Quest. It just came out, I think, yesterday. And I think that's where we'll leave it for today. So hopefully everyone's having a great day. And as always, thanks for watching.
Hey guys, if you made it this far, please check out these other craps related channels.